Today on Growing Bolder, family and fishing, exploring life's passions with a member of the greatest generation. Business leader, trailblazer, game changer, Donna Orender uses the lessons she learned playing sports to educate, inspire, and empower women.
I want to be able to take experience, which is a privilege and a gift that we don't have when we're younger, and provide that as an overlay in a way that younger people can hear, that helps us all be better.
And I'm Laura Savini with a very personal conversation with my good friend Kim Campbell, wife of country superstar Glen Campbell. We talk about their life's journey together right now on Growing Bolder.
We're not made to withdraw from life. We're made to seize each moment and to value every breath. We're made to be bold, to take risk, and to help others. We are the most creative, fearless, passionate being that has ever walked the face of the earth. Don't identify with limitation. Embrace possibility. This is not the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of what's next. This is Growing Bolder. Hi, and welcome to Growing Bolder. I'm Mark Middleton. You know, one of the things that we've learned from the thousands of stories that we've produced on ordinary people living extraordinary lives is that as we age, life becomes less about things and a whole lot more about experiences. Less about making money and more about making a difference. Less about listening to others tell you what you can't do and more about doing it. We're going to see some of those examples today. We begin with Gil Walton, a World War II veteran who loves to fish. And when I showed up for the story, I thought it would be about a 95-year-old who still likes to fish. And it is. But to me, it's about a whole lot more. It's about a family that loves their father, their uncle so much that they'll do whatever it takes to give him his life's greatest pleasure for as long as he's able to enjoy it. At 95 years old, Gil Walton continues to enjoy his lifelong passion of fishing.
That's my life. That's why I'm here. I love fishing. All my life I've loved to fish.
Gil is a true Florida native, born in 1925 in the little town of Live Oak. At 18, with World War II about to break out, he dropped out of pre-med at Emory University and voluntarily enlisted in the Navy, where he served as a pharmacist on a medic ship until the war ended. For the last 75 years, there have been two constants, two sources of joy in Gil's life: fishing and family.
My children are the big thing that gives me the happiness, and I'm truly blessed because I had two families. Actually, I was married twice. So I have two families, but they all get along good together, and I love them all.
Not only does he love them, he actually saved one of their lives. When his nephew Tim was 7 years old, he flipped over in a small boat and was trapped underneath.
Oh, I had to rescue him. Little booger was about to go underwater, and I ran and swam out there and pulled him up. He was under the boat.
He comes running like a superhero down the bank, dives in and gets me, carries me. You know, he was a lifeguard truly, and he put me on the bank and saved me.
That was back when I could do something. I'm glad he didn't do it now. He'd drown.
It's Gil's sense of humor and his passion for living that inspires this kind of love and admiration, even from Charter Captain Mike Bays.
We have a lot of fun. We catch fish, and it's just to enjoy being around him and seeing how he interacts with his family.
It's not lost on Gil that most 95-year-olds don't have a family that'll do almost anything to give him the pleasure he most enjoys: a day on the boat with the wind in his face and a pole in his hand. Does it make a difference if you catch a fish or not?
No. Just to get in a boat with the kids is all. That's the big part, is just to get a boat ride. I enjoy going out fishing and getting in a boat when I catch anything or not.
Tim's father, Gil's brother, died when Tim was just 16. Since then, Uncle Gil has been an invaluable father figure.
He's truly just been a good man to me. I mean, if I ever wanted the truth about something, whether I liked it or not, I'll go to him and he would tell me. Hurt me? Maybe. Didn't like the answer? Didn't matter. Honest.
Over the years, they have more than just a few fish stories to tell. Usually, they're not about the one that got away, but the one that didn't.
I've caught the biggest fish ever caught here. I did that. It was a cobia, about that big. And he still to this day wants to claim it was him and my dad.
He was 5 years old. Who do you think tried to bring that fish in?
Didn't matter. There's a picture of me crying because they wouldn't let me hold my own fish.
They say our legacy is simply the stories they tell about us when we're gone. If that's the case, Gil Walton will leave a lasting legacy with all who have been fortunate enough to know him.
Being positive, living life to the fullest, being happy, waking up each morning thinking it could be your last, and moving forward and making the decision that today is going to be a good day.
I got more than my money's worth. I tell you, at the age of 95, I feel like I've had an opportunity to do a little of everything and had a good time doing it. And if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't change anything. I had a fun time for the whole 95 years.
We were saddened to learn recently that Gil passed away from natural causes. He was 95 after all. But what a gift his family gave him, and that we were able to share on that beautiful day. There were, by the way, 16 million World War II veterans, men and women like Gil, who literally saved the world. There are now less than 300,000 left, with fewer every day. So if you know one, give them thanks, look out for them, and maybe even take them fishing. All right, Bob Sutz is not a World War II vet, but he was deeply impacted by it, losing many of his family members in the Holocaust. In his small studio in Scottsdale, Arizona, Sutz is on a one-man mission to make sure the world never forgets. He makes life masks of the rapidly dwindling number of Holocaust survivors. He interviews them on camera about their heartbreaking stories. He makes sketches from their descriptions and turns them into paintings, glimpses into the nightmares that have haunted survivors for a lifetime. It's not the retirement that he imagined, but it is the legacy he's compelled to leave behind.
I don't know how so many well-educated and people that have lots of money can insist that the Holocaust was a hoax, that it never happened. And how can they do that? It's just incredible.
The most difficult experience during my Holocaust was the Nazi hit my mother over her head when she refused to give me away. Now my life is collections, seems more dream than history. I hope this never happens again. Thank you.
I was now alone. Moshe Heller was gone, my father was gone, my mother and my sister had been shot in 1942. So now I was the only survivor of the family.
One thing they all have in common is, when asked, how were you able to survive? And the answer universally is, we survived because we were lucky. And secondly, we survived because we wanted to survive. We wanted to survive. And to be able to, hopefully, if we survived, to tell the world what happened. It's certainly hard to understand. I don't know if anybody can understand how this happened. But it happened. And it's important for me to, record what I can record and pass it on to future generations.
Sutz not only honors survivors with life masks, he also honors those who liberated the concentration camps, a group referred to as righteous Gentiles, non-Jews who risked their lives to save Jews during the Holocaust. And that's how I came to know Bob Sutz. My father was a liberator, a righteous Gentile, and Sutz asked him to sit for a life mask. My father has since passed on, but his life mask is now part of Bob Sutz's powerful collection, a one-of-a-kind archive, irrefutable evidence of one of the darkest chapters in human history. Remembering those who have passed on can be both joyous and painful, and it certainly has been both for a good friend of Laura Savini, who was married and cared for one of the most famous country music stars in history.
Thank you, Mark. Kim Campbell was only 22 years old when she married country music superstar Glen Campbell. In her memoir, Gentle on My Mind, about their more than 3 decades together, Kim details the happy moments as well as their struggles with Glen's alcoholism and then Alzheimer's disease. My husband, songwriter Jimmy Webb, and I walked through those years with Kim and Glen and witnessed how incredibly difficult and heartbreaking those later years were. I talked with Kim about her life with Glen, including the tough decision she made to move him into a memory care unit.
I didn't know that memory care communities existed. You know, I thought about the stereotypical nursing homes and I was horrified by that thought. But when I started visiting memory care communities, I realized that they've got, they're vibrant communities, you know, with pet therapy and music therapy and horticulture therapy, art classes. Glenn loved being around people. And so many times people with Alzheimer's become isolated in their home and they don't have any socialization. And that happened to me too, when we were at home and I felt like Glenn was a shut-in, I was shut in with him. I couldn't put him in the car, as we just talked about, and drive him somewhere. I didn't want to take him out in public. He needed a special environment. But when we joined the community, that was my community too. And now we were there with other families on the same journey, experiencing the same things. And, you know, we laughed together, cried together, prayed for each other, and supported each other in that journey. And it was a blessing.
You can listen to my entire interview with Kim and more at growingbolder.com/TV.
Seems like there are two kinds of people out there. Ones who see a wrong and say, hey, nothing I can do, and others who step up to actually do something. Well, that's Donna Orender, the kind of person who's breaking barriers. She's been doing it since middle school. She went on to become a big-time sports executive who's now fighting to level the playing field for women, not just in sports, but in life.
You know, first of all, let me say this. I am lucky to live in Jacksonville. I love Jacksonville. I never would have thought that, in case you can't tell, in a few more minutes. I am a born and raised New York girl who never thought she would leave New York, ever.
But she did, and what a life she's had. Donna Orender is a former collegiate and professional basketball player who might never have had the chance if she hadn't stepped up as a young girl to fight for her right to participate in sports.
You didn't realize you were that kind of person when you were 14 years old and said, hey, I want to play tennis in high school. Why can't I play on the team? And they said, well, girls don't play tennis.
Well, they don't play on the boys' team. That's what they did say. And I said, why not? Why not? Just give me a chance.
She turned that chance into an opportunity to play pro, but she wanted more. A stronger voice, a position of leadership. She became a sports executive, spent 17 years at the PGA, and then became commissioner and president of the WNBA, helping solidify the league in nearly every respect. After 6 years there, she was ready to take on a new mission, her own organization, Generation W, which she was proud to locate in Jacksonville.
I'm all about trying to understand and recognize that we all have value and that value should be equally recognized. Now, what does that mean, equal? Because that also is a charged word. We really need to understand how we are programmed, both from a macro level and then from a much more insular, perhaps family, social, cultural level, on how we see people and how we react to them.
Donna has no doubt that change will happen. At the age of 63, she is ready to continue the fight, relentless in her desire to make a difference. And age, she says that just gives us an advantage.
You know, when you get older, you have this wonderful gift of perspective and experience. And you say, wait a second, I made it through that. And I got some muscle in me. I've got some muscle memory that says, yeah, you can do that. You can get through these tough things. And I think about that a lot. I think the greatest thing I ever got from playing sports is understanding that I had the ability to be stronger. And what would be the right word? I had the ability to do more and go further than I ever thought I could.
She's proof that it's not about skill as much as it is conviction, confidence, and determination.
You were not the fastest.
Not the fastest.
Not the tallest.
Not the tallest.
You couldn't jump the highest.
I could jump, but not the highest.
What did you have?
I had this incredible determination that no matter what, no one was going to outwork me, right? And in that process, no one was going to be better than me.
And you took that attitude and you applied it to your life after you were done playing.
That is the most valuable lesson I learned. I've learned working hard is good, but working smart is better. And I think that's a lesson particularly for women. I think we've grown up thinking if we work hard and do the right thing, someone's going to tap us on the shoulder and say, guess what, you get to go ahead. And we learned the hard way that that's not necessarily true.
Is being in your 60s different than when you were 30 and you met somebody or thought about somebody in their 60s?
Yes! It's so different because it's interesting. The other day I was talking to somebody, I forgot who it was, and they said to me, how long are you going to be doing this? And I said, what do you mean? In my brain, I'm 25. All right, I'm 35, but that's all I am. And then I realized there truly is a real number attached to where you are. And how are you going to let that number and then the realities that come with those numbers, whether it's your physical capabilities, whether you feel like your cognitive and emotional abilities, are you going to let someone else tell you how you're supposed to be feeling? Or are you going to feel how you feel? And I want to be able to take experience, which is a privilege and a gift that we don't have when we're younger, and provide that as an overlay in a way that younger people can hear, that helps us all be better. We want to have a sense of fulfillment. We want to have a sense of purpose and that we matter, that we're seen. We want to have families we feel like we've contributed to and we can raise in a way that perhaps they can take a step beyond where we are. We all want that. We might give it different words and languages and interpretations. We might come through different political systems. But at the end of the day, there is a commonality to that that's so powerful. And I love bringing people together to find that commonality, because when you do, that energy that you generate is so positive. And we talk about the positive and the possible. Positivity creates possibilities.
I don't know if you have any sense of how great all the things that you're doing are and how inspiring they are. Because to you, you're just the 14-year-old kid who said, can I play tennis?
I'm just that kid who looks at the world and says, hey, do you want to play on the girls' team? Do you want to play on the boys' team? Or do you want to create like a new paradigm? And what does that look like that allows everybody to play together? And I feel like that's kind of where I am.
She is so inspiring, and a great quote there, positivity creates possibility. We all have doubts and fears. You just can't let them stop you from trying. Now, not all barriers are based on gender or race. Joe Kittinger's broken a lot of them, but none more memorable than when he literally leapt into history. It was August 16th, 1960. He floated up in a balloon 102,000 feet to the very edge of space, higher than anyone had ever been before. Then he unstrapped from the gondola and jumped.
I'm very proud of what we accomplished as a team. The escape system that we developed 50 years ago is still being used today in all the ejection seats around the world. So we did contribute to escape from high altitude. We also showed NASA that man could actually work in space, because I was the first man in space back before the space program started. But people said we couldn't do it. There was a vast majority of people said there's no way you could go up into space like that and survive a jump from that high altitude. And we all knew we could do it. And it was a vindication of our goals and our desires to show that we could do it. I knew I could do it, or I wouldn't have been there. But I have to have confidence in yourself. I still live it every day. To me, it's just as vivid as the day I did it. It was, of course, the most important thing I did in my life, the most exciting thing, the thing that I'm most proud of that I accomplished in my life. And so it's still a very vivid experience in my life.
We certainly don't have to make the same kind of jump that Joe Kittinger did, but we do have to make an effort to jump into life. We have to learn to leap, which gets more difficult as we age because people keep telling us what we can't do. The poster girl for never giving up is Diana Nyad, who dreamed of becoming the first person to swim from Cuba to the U.S. without a shark cage. It took her 5 tries over 35 years before she finally achieved her dream at the age of 64. Diana is now in her 70s and was part of Growing Boulder's Launchpad to What's Next national TV special, and her message is very clear.
Don't tell me I shouldn't be able to do it, that I can't do it at this age. And, you know, who's to say that at age 80 I couldn't do something of that ilk? I don't know yet, but I judge for myself. I feel what I feel instead of somebody else telling me what my limitations are.
And we can do the same in our lives.
Everybody can do the same. I think that, you know, I've met so many people, like, you just hear the echo in my ears saying, oh, I could never do that. And I say to them, of course you could. Of course, I could never run a marathon. If you wanted to, you could. You know, it might not be good for your knees, but just because you don't think that's in your, you know, you even have the right to do it. That's what a lot of people feel like. You know, I couldn't go to medical school. My father always told me I'm not smart enough for that. Well, you know, forget your freaking father out of your life then and go to medical school. People should decide for themselves, not in a rebellious way, not in an angry way, but just in a real way. Get real. What can you do? A lot more than you think.
We've been talking about jumping into life, and a group known as SOS, Skydivers Over 60, takes that challenge literally. We were there when skydivers from their 60s all the way into their 90s came together in DeLand, Florida, from all over the world to try to break a world record, getting more than 43 skydivers locked into formation on a single jump.
We're from California, but the grandkids are here in Florida. So they're coming out to watch us, which will be really fun for everybody.
This weekend is making me reunite with a lot of old friends and making new friends and just having a blast jumping out of a perfectly good airplane.
You'll find people all the way from construction workers to lawyers to a college professor like myself and medical doctors. And as far as their professions are concerned, you see nothing in common. So the only common factor really is that we all love skydiving.
Energy, it gives me energy too. It's fun. It's fantastic. You have to try it to know how it is, because I can explain it. It's really something special.
We don't call ourselves thrill seekers, not at all, or daredevils. We just have a zest for life. And we realize that you got to keep on keeping on.
The group practices on the ground and then flies to 18,000 feet before exiting from 3 separate planes. They have only seconds to fly together and lock into formation. After several failures over 2 days, their skill and their persistence pay off. 48 skydivers, all over 60 and some in their 90s, make the formation, smashing the world record.
Yeah, we got it.
I had a great quarantine chat with Carl Honore from his home in London. Carl is the best-selling author of Boulder, Making the Most of Our Longer Lives, in which he writes about something that we preach about on a daily basis, the fact that there is a direct link between aging better and feeling better about aging. Here's Carl.
How we feel about aging affects the way we age. And I had no idea that that was the case. And, you know, it's quite a lot of research that shows that if you venerate youth and denigrate aging, you're more likely to age less well, right? You're more likely to develop dementia or physical cognitive decline or even die younger. So ageism, right? Buying into the cult of youth, the idea that it's all downhill from wherever, 35, 40, wherever you're drawing the line. If you buy into that idea, which is erroneous and wrong, you're actually harming yourself. You know, ageism, let's call it by its name, is the ultimate act of self-harm, right? To buy into it, you're hurting yourself now, you're hurting your future self, and you're also hurting everyone around you.
You can listen to that entire interview and many more with some of the world's most interesting and provocative thinkers on the subject of aging at growingboulder.com/TV. The lessons that we learn in many different ways and in many different voices are all very similar. We have far more control over how we age than we believe, and if we're going to honor the blessing of growing older, we need to take action. You've probably heard the saying that the tragedy of life is not that it ends so soon, but that we wait so long to begin it. We wait for the perfect moment to chase our dreams. And of course, the perfect moment never arrives. The only perfect time, the only right time, in fact, the only time there is right now. So stop waiting and start doing, because that's growing bolder.
Watch previous seasons of Growing Bolder plus bonus stories via our new free streaming app. More information at growingbolder.com/TV. And you can get inspired to plan your what's next when you connect with the Growing Bolder community on Facebook. Show the world you're growing bolder with official Growing Bolder products. Growing Bolder tees and hats are available for $25 each. Custom mugs are $15, and inspiring Tear and Share postcards featuring original artwork and bold messages are $15 plus shipping and handling. All items are available at growingbolder.com/shop.